How did your production skills develop through this project? When I first started working on Photoshop, calling me an amateur would honestly be a praise. When I look back at my old projects or assignments, I'm honestly embarrassed that I was ever proud of them. The first project I ever worked on Photoshop was the myself poster, which displayed our likes and dislikes and basically was ourselves summarized as a poster. Looking back, I find my work very messy and choppy in that poster. I didn't know how to edit my likes and dislikes and bring them all together in a way that looked good. I also did not know how to remove a background from a picture. I took this opportunity, however, to learn about Photoshop and I learned how to erase backgrounds from pictures. I also learned to filter pictures if I wanted the best quality if I was taking those pictures through Google. I remember my teacher also edited a picture in front of us in class so that we could get a better idea of how it's done. She also told us a bunch of shortcut keys and a bunch of shortcuts for Photoshop, which helped me to this day. Although I'm not the biggest fan of my poster, looking back when I was done with it and when I showed it to my friends and my family, I remember how much they liked it and I remember being very proud of it. Moving on to the next assignment, which was all about photography. I've always had a love-hate relationship with photography, as I have the idea, but I have a little bit of trouble executing said idea. However, once I learned about camera compositions and how important lighting is to photography, I slowly started to enjoy photography more. Learning all that made me execute the idea I had in my brain, and slowly but surely, I started improving my photography skill. Learning all the different angles, all the different lighting and how they cast shadows and how all different poses of models represent different things, really made me love photography. It made me love it so much that now I'm always snapping pictures. Learning about all this was really helpful in my final shoots for my project, as it allowed me to execute all the ideas I had in my brain. After photography and editing, all that's left is the blog. The blog is where we document our project and the planning and pre-production part of it and everything else. Now, getting the hang of the blog itself and how it's used wasn't really difficult for me. However, what we write in the blog proved to be quite challenging towards the end. I say that because mentioning every single detail about my work progress was quite a challenge, because while I was designing my projects, I didn't really think about that I had to document it. I just went in the flow and I did whatever came to my mind without really thinking too much about it, and mostly I did stuff because of how visually pleasing it was to see. This made it a little hard for me towards the end, as when I was writing down in my blog, I had to think of a lot of reasons for the stuff that I did on instinct or without thinking too much about. When I think of the challenges I faced during this process, not much comes to mind, as I did enjoy this process truly as a whole. However, there were a few times when I thought of dropping the subject because of its demanding nature. Around the time of my mid-year examinations, I was really struggling with managing my time equally between every subject and giving each subject the time it deserves. However, that wasn't really possible, as media required a lot of my time and attention. With all of my energy and time focused on media, I was struggling in other subjects and I was left behind in them, and that is why I was contemplating dropping media. However, my love for the subject itself and the sole reason that I enjoyed the class so much, I obviously decided not to drop it. Slowly, I learned how to divide my time equally between every subject and how I could give each subject the time it deserves, and other than this, I felt no problem while planning or producing my project.